Hello and welcome to our discussion today on buying and selling a car. What to expect at the dealership. You know, buying and selling a car is the second biggest financial transaction most people will make in their lifetime, and so it's important that we get it right. Of course, if you've been on these discussions with us before, you know we always recommend that you sit down with a professional who knows the details of your situation before making major financial decisions like entering into a loan, buying insurance, investments, or anything along those lines. Today we're going to be sharing some best practices that will help equip you when you go to buy a car at a dealer. When you go to a car dealership, there's usually one of three ways that they will approach the sales process. The first is what I call a focus on the trade-in. If that's the case with this dealership, then really quickly as you drive onto the lot, someone will come out and greet you and start talking to you. And pretty soon in the conversation, they'll probably take a look at what you drove up in and ask you something like, "So are you thinking about trading that in?" Most people will respond with, "I'm not sure, I don't know, maybe, possibly." At any rate, the salesperson will then say, "Tell you what, why don't you let me have your keys and I'll have my used car manager take a look at it so you'll at least have an idea of what you might get if you do trade it in." At that point, you reach into your pocket and hand over your keys. Now, in some parts of the industry, that's referred to as dehorsing the client. Your ride has been taken away, and this can become problematic later on when you're ready to go because nobody knows where your keys are, and it takes a minute to find them. Meanwhile, the salesperson can continue to talk to you about buying a car. Statistics show that the longer you're on a car dealership, the more likely you are to make a purchase, and so this is all part of the process. If you continue on to negotiate on buying a car and get down to talking about dollars and cents, then the way it will go is based on something called a difference. When you sit down in the salesperson's office, they will bring out a buyer's order like this where they will have the sales price of the car at the top. Now remember, that's the full sticker price. And then they'll show whatever they're allowing for your car value on the trade-in. It'll probably be a little more than you were expecting. Maybe your car is only worth $6,000 or $7,000, you think, and yet you see that they're going to give you $8,000 as a trade-in, and you think, well, that's pretty good. Of course, there's potentially thousands of dollars in the full sticker price that can be negotiated, and so again, we're kind of focusing on the value of the trade-in as opposed to what you're really paying for the car at this particular point in the process. And they may write on there something like, in this case, $22,995, which would be the simple math that you see. That's the difference, and that's what you would be financing were you to agree to that. And so maybe you say, I don't know, $22,995, that seems like a lot. I don't think I could do that much. And so they'll ask you, well, how much do you think you can do? And maybe you say, I don't know, I could maybe do $20,000 difference. The salesperson might say, well, I don't think we can do that. That's probably not going to work, but I'll go ask my manager and we'll see what we can do. So they leave you in the office for a while. They come back, and at that point, they've probably written something else on the sales order, and maybe it's $22,000. And he or she says, can't do the $20,000 difference, but we could do a $22,000 difference. What do you think about that? Can we put you in the car today? Maybe you agree to that, or maybe you don't, and you say, I don't think I can do that. That seems like it's too much. And so they'll ask you, well, what could you do? And maybe you say, I don't know, maybe I could do a difference of $21,500. And at that point, they'll probably go talk to their manager, leave you in the office a little bit longer, come back, and maybe they say, congratulations, it's your lucky day. We're going to be able to do that at $21,500. I didn't think we could, but you got yourself a deal. If we are focusing on the amount of the trade-in and then talking about a difference between that and the sales price, the focus is on something other than the actual price of the car you're buying. The second approach is something I call a focus on the monthly payment. If that's the way the dealership is approaching it, then when you first drive onto the lot and get out and start looking around, a salesperson will come out, start talking to you, and early in that conversation, he or she will say, so what type of payment are you looking for? Once you give them a dollar amount, that's something from which they can work. But the focus, if you get to the point of having a serious conversation about making a purchase will be on the payment. And in that case, they'll pull out a buyer's order. Again, the price of the car will be up at the top, but they will write on it a payment amount. And maybe you said, when you were asked the question, what type of payment are you looking for? Maybe you said, oh, I don't know, maybe $400 or something like that. Well, the payment that you're going to be offered to start with is going to be a lot more than what you said in most cases. Let's say they tell you they can do the car for $525 a month. And you might be like, oh, no, I don't think I could do that. That seems like way too much. I really think I've got to keep it lower than that. And so they say, well, what can you do? And maybe you're like, well, I just really think I need to stay at $400 tops. And the salesperson might be like, well, I don't think we can do that, but it wouldn't hurt to go ask, so I'll go talk to my manager. And so he or she leaves you in the office for a while. They come back. That's going to be crossed out. They'll have something else written on it, and they may say, well, can't do $400 a month, but I got the manager talked down to $495. What do you think about that? Maybe you agree to that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you say, I don't think I can do that. And so the salesperson is like, what can you do? You respond maybe with, I really wanted to stay around 400, but maybe I could do 450, 455. And so the salesperson will leave you in the office, go talk to their manager, come back, and maybe at that point they'll say, congratulations. I didn't think we could, but we got you done at $455 a month. And so you agree to that payment amount. That's another situation where we're focused on something other than the price of the car. The last approach is something that I'll call no haggle, and you've probably heard these advertisements before where a dealership is advertising, hey, come to us, the low sticker price is already there, our bottom dollar price is clearly marked, no need to haggle or go back and forth, the price on the car is what you're going to pay. The no haggle approach feels better in some cases because not everybody likes to haggle. Most people don't. And the idea that the bottom dollar, lowest price, best deal possible is already on the car, that's another good feeling. So it does make it a little more convenient. Of course, what you need to be aware of is the full dealer profit that they need for that car or they want to get, the full salesperson commission and everything else is factored in. All of that's already in the price of the car that they put on the window sticker. It's not, in most cases, it's not going to be the bottom dollar price that you really could have gotten were there some negotiating going on. So again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a more convenient way to go about it. But if the price on the car still seems high, don't hesitate to offer something lower. It doesn't mean you can't. And so sometimes you'll find that they will actually go a little bit lower than what's on the window sticker of that car, even at a no haggle lot. So moral of the story, doesn't hurt to ask. Those are the three ways that car dealerships might go about trying to sell a car. So what I would recommend is if you drive onto a car lot and the salesperson starts talking about a trade-in or a difference, just let them know you're not sure if you're going to trade the car in yet or not. You're focused on the car that you're interested in buying, and you really just want to talk about the price you're paying for it. That will clear everything up, and you'll know exactly what it is you're paying for the car you're buying, and then you can circle back around later to having a conversation about the trade-in. And at that point, you'll know exactly what you're truly being given for that trade-in. The other example is if somebody starts talking about a monthly payment, I would suggest just letting them know you're not really focused on payment. You hadn't even thought about that. You're just wanting to focus on the car you're interested in buying and the price you're paying for it. So again, takes out that gray area. You're negotiating at that point on what you should be negotiating on, which is the price of the car you're interested in buying. And then the no haggle lot, just offer what feels good to you. Know that that's always an option. Then at that point, there's still the finance department. And this is really tricky because at the point in the process where you've agreed on a price of the car you're buying, you're sort of letting your guard down. You feel like you're done. Imagine you've probably been at the dealership for several hours at this point in some cases, and you've gone through the stress of the negotiating and trying to figure out if you can afford the car and what it is you're paying for it, et cetera, et cetera. You're probably looking at the car that you are buying. You probably went back over to it, Maybe you're sitting in it, you're smelling that new car smell, you're visualizing yourself driving down the road on a sunny day in your brand new car with the sunroof back. You maybe have called your friends, your family, you're thinking about what you're going to say to them. When it's time to get back into the finance department, you may not be aware that that's a whole nother negotiating process, a whole nother sales process that you need to be prepared for. Let's talk about that for a minute. The first thing I would mention is the car dealership is going to take your information, your loan application basically, and they're going to shop it around to a number of different behind-the-scene third-party financing companies, one of which is going to be the actual car dealership's financing arm, Toyota Motor Credit, Ford Credit, wherever the case may be, if it's a new car purchase, as well as other banks and financial institutions that are offering loans to dealerships behind the scenes in a third-party transaction type situation. They'll probably go with the best rate that they can get you bought at, but oftentimes they will add an additional percentage point or so onto what they get you bought at, what they got the loan actually underwritten by. They'll add a little bit onto that, and that's just extra profit for the dealership. So be aware of that. That's something you can ask about whatever the rate is they tell you that they are able to do. There's actual negotiating room sometimes in that situation. And then if it is a new car purchase, a lot of times there might be some 0.9 financing offer or some other low introductory rate offer or a rebate option. If they don't say anything about a rebate option but are offering a low interest rate as a special deal, ask if there is a rebate option as an alternative. The special financing a lot of times has some hidden caveats or fine print. One is it can sometimes be difficult to get. It requires often a very high credit score. Sometimes it's not going to be offered for the full term that you might like. For example, it may only be offered for 2 or 3 years, but you might need to finance it for 5 years or so instead. And there could also be a large prepayment penalty if you were to pay the loan off early. What a lot of clients find is it's better to arrange financing with us and just take them a check, and then that way they can take the rebate option, get that money up front, and not have to worry about the special financing terms and that sort of thing. The other thing that can happen in the finance department is they may try to sell you a lot of extras. For example, undercoating or all-season floor mats or Scotch Guard seat protection or an upgraded security system or alarm system or upgraded stereo system, a bed liner, splash guards, tinted windows. These are all extra add-ons that you will be presented potentially in the finance department. Another thing that's very common is to be offered an extended warranty on a used car in particular, but even on a new car sometimes. Ask about what type of manufacturer's warranty comes with the car you're buying. Even if it's a used car, a lot of times there will be some leftover manufacturer's warranty, and so the extended warranty you're buying might overlap with the remaining manufacturer's warranty, or certainly if it's a new car purchase, the manufacturer's warranty that starts from day one. So consider that. Also, just look at the sheer price of the extended warranty and ask yourself, how much in terms of repairs do I think I'm going to be spending that this would actually cover? Because extended warranties don't cover everything. They only cover certain things. And a large percentage of extended warranties never even get used. And so, again, just something to consider if you're offered an extended warranty. All of these are things to be aware of in the finance department. So we've talked today about things to be aware of at the dealership in terms of how they're going to approach the sales transaction, either the trade-in and focusing on the difference, or focusing on the monthly payment, or the no haggle approach. And we've recommended that you focus in any of those situations on the price of the car you're actually wanting to buy and get that settled first before talking about anything else. And then if you're going to be financing at the dealership, just be aware of the things that you're going to be discussing and needing to ask about when you get to that department. Another alternative, as we've mentioned, is to finance with us and just bring them a check. If you have any other questions about this topic, feel free to stop by your nearest Pinnacle office or reach out to your financial advisor. We'd love to talk to you more.